Hello and welcome to another video about my sim cockpit. This one will be about dashes, displays, all the blinky stuff that's happening on my rig. The programs I have been using, I'm using right now, and actually the hardware side, how I mount the dashes and so on. I get questions about this stuff quite often, so I figured why not make a video about this. Yeah, so let's go. Alright, at first I will tell you about the different devices I have been using and I'm using right now that function as dashes on my rig. Primarily, as you can see here on the wheel, what looks like it's an actual real dash, it's actually just an Android smartphone. In this case it's a Samsung Galaxy S2 Plus, and I just made a little cover out of a carbon fiber sheet. It was actually the rest of the sheet I used for this wheel here. So yeah, Android smartphone running Dash Meter Pro. That's it basically. I've tried several Dash apps over the years, and I keep coming back to Dash Meter Pro because it's just the most versatile for me. And in the next segment I will show you what you can actually do with the program and how you can configure different layouts and stuff. It's really nice stuff. So as you can see, the cover I have cut this out, so here normally are the LEDs. Oops, and I switched to a different layout. And the question I probably get the most about this thing is how I actually mounted it, and it's really not that sophisticated. I just took, I don't know if you can see this good, these metal angle bracket things here, just from a Home Depot or so. I stuck one of them between the base and this plastic ring here, which covers the original paddle shifters. They would be here. I removed them. I just stuck the thing in between there, and then I screwed another one. Oops. Screwed another one on there and just stuck the phone on it with double-sided tape. You could also use Velcro, of course. By the way, I used Velcro to attach the cover to the phone, as you can see here. So nothing spectacular really. It will be different from wheelbase to wheelbase, but there's always a way to mount these things. I mean, they don't have to be mounted super solidly. As long as you don't mount the dash to the wheel directly, there's no reason really for it to be really super solid. I mean, the wheelbase itself doesn't really move, so you're usually okay with something like double-sided tape or Velcro. Of course, there are more professional solutions for that. Just search on the internet. There are some people selling stands for different wheels. Yeah, okay, that's the main dash. Then recently I have actually been using again this tablet here. This is my old ASUS, what was it called? Slider, I think. One of their first tablets, first Android tablets. It actually has a keyboard. You can slide the whole tablet and then you have the keyboard below. It's, yeah, quite old, but it's still quick enough, of course, for Dash Meter Pro. Dash Meter Pro is not very, doesn't need a lot of resources. It runs on old Android smartphones as well. Yeah, the camera. I showed you this in a previous video. Yeah, that's basically what I use at the moment. I used to use another tablet this year, the ASUS Transformer. I had it on my rig, about here. But since I switched my setup, I don't use it anymore. And this here is the phone I initially used here. It's a HTC Wildfire. This is actually too slow for Dash Meter Pro, but I used SimShift Lite back then, which is also a very nice, simple app. And for this it was quick enough. So yeah, that's basically the dashes I run at the moment. And here, another important thing, of course, here on this wheel, the SimRaceway SRW-S1. This one has LEDs and dials, as has this one here, of course, the F1 wheel. And you also need additional software to actually make these things work. And now I use SLI Max Manager for both these wheels, and you could also use it for a number of other wheels and applications. There's actually also emulators for Android devices where the real thing gets emulated, like the real display that's in there, for example, or other dash hardware. I haven't been using it that much until now, because for me it's just more practical, Dash Meter Pro. But I will tell you something about SLI Max Manager too in this video. So yeah, let's move on to configuration of Dash Meter Pro. Oh yeah, before I forget it, one quick addendum to my last video series about the video about the magnetic shifter mod. I also applied this to the SRW-S1 now. I hope you can see that somewhat clearly. Again, it's a mod that only works with my configuration, with the quick release I use and the stuff I threw together there. But it works brilliantly. I mean, magnets on one side, magnet on the other side, and it just separates them. And the resulting haptic feeling is so much nicer than the original shifter action. I hope the whole mechanism doesn't break soon, but yeah, that's something I wanted to show you too. Okay, this is Dash Meter Pro, actually a completely blank preset, and I will show you how to add. Actually, when you download and install Dash Meter Pro for the first time, you will already have pre-configured presets, but you can make your own basically. One important thing is you have to have the server app running on your PC where iRacing is running, or any other sim, and this PC has to be connected to the same subnet as your tablet or smartphone running the Android app of Dash Meter Pro. They have to be in the same network, and there is a preference.ini file where you can set these IP addresses. You have to know the IP address of your Android device and enter that one into the ini file for the server app on the PC. But there is detailed instructions on Dash Meter Pro website, sensordigit.com. Anyway, once you have it running, you will get a message here like Dash Meter communication okay or something. And so, oops, this is one of the pre-configured screens. You can see I have a replay file running. Some parameters work with a recorded replay, some only work with when you actually are playing the sim. Like here you can see fuel consumption does not work, whatever. I will show you how to add widgets. So there is preferences, but first we have to actually add widgets. So you go into the editor, and then you can add from a list basically. You have all these things here. So gear is of course something you want to have, and then you can change the size, make it smaller, bigger, add another one, let's say G-forces, again, change size, multiple things as you can see. Also like that, what's it called, pedal input thing, Throttle input now. I don't know. Let's take this one, and then you can move the items around. You have to first select it, and then just move it around. And once you're happy with it, you just click save, and there you go. You can also change the color of the general color scheme by going into preferences, colors. You have 3 slots for presets. You can switch between them. Looks quite similar. Where's the other one? Colors. Oops. Nope. Current profile. There we go. Yes. Yes. So you can actually have other backgrounds too, as you can see. And you can define these also here on the colors just by clicking on the preset. And here when you say, okay, I want to have the background in a different color, let's say in red or pinkish, why not? And click OK. There we go. You can set these for different things like the gear display, numbers, text, everything. And in addition to that, first let's actually switch back to a somewhat bearable color. Then you can also set the colors for each individual item by going back to the editor, and then let's take this one, select it, and then you click on set, and here for this specific one you can actually, okay, this is a dial, but you can configure the shape of it basically. And then you can also say, I want to have it a specific color, like green, for example. And specific color for the needle, why not? We're in full throttle now, so you can't see anything. So, I don't know why you can't see the needle now. I think I set it to black. Yes, I did. There we go. Really handy stuff. Save again. And yeah, there's multiple things. Then you can have of course, which you will want to have if you use it on a tablet or a little phone as your primary dash. You of course want to have shift lights. So I clicked here full screen, no frame and LEDs. That's why there weren't any. But this is actually basic layout. And then you can have also a flash actually as a shift light somewhere around here. Where is that? That's all under here. You see, you can change so many things: RPM, LEDs, position, animation, style, color. Then you can set manual thresholds. The automatic ones usually work quite well, but there are a couple of cars where you would want to shift earlier. Then you can set it manually, but you cannot set it by car. That's a shame, really, but it's not possible. Additional LED bars, you can configure these. Enable shift light, that's the one. So now the screen should flash actually, if I rev high enough. No, I don't. Yeah, you can set it to flash white or whatever color you wanted. Yeah, I mean, so many. Yeah, you can see it green. It was actually so many different items, widgets, everything you basically need. I'm really happy with the software. usually running quite well. The only times sometimes you will have a delay or a lag when you have network problems. It has to be on the same Wi-Fi. There's also a way to do it via USB tethering, I think, but I never tried that. But it has to be on the same Wi-Fi, otherwise it won't work correctly. And the network connectivity, of course, has to be good. But apart from that, as I said, the Android device doesn't have to be particularly powerful. And I think there's also a test version where you can test if your device can run it. Yeah, that's basically it for Dash Meter Pro.
Okay, back in the car actually, in the F1 car. Now we'll talk a bit about SLI Max Manager. And later on I will show you the software itself and how you change the settings, etc, etc. But here I can show you what this particular unit, the sim display, what is it called? SRX? No, sim something. I'll hopefully show it on screen. The display I'm using in here, the SLI, what it is capable of and what you can program it to do with SLI Max Manager. And the F1 car is just perfect because it has so many different functions, and I don't even have everything mapped, and to be honest, of course I don't use everything. It's just, if you want to use all of that, I can show you that a lot is possible. In a race you probably won't use half of it. Anyway, let's actually get this thing going. First thing I can show you is pit limiter here, nice LED. Try and look a bit down. Okay, right now I have the sim display has two sections here, left and right, and the gear display, of course. Technically I should be able to switch the left display with this switch and the right display with this switch. Should look down a bit. For some reason I can't get this switch to work at the moment. I have recalibrated it. I'm guessing I probably would have to remap it in SLI Max Manager, but for several reasons I can't do this now, which of course is not a deal in such a video, but I can assure you it has already worked. That's, yeah, a lot of tweaking. Anyway, but with this display you can switch through several parameters which you can define yourself in SLI Max Manager. So here I don't even know what I have here. Should say, yeah, something that is fuel, position, lap something, sector. You see, I don't use the stuff really. It's so hectic. It's a lap time thing. You can switch through these things as you like, but probably out of habit, I tend to look at the relative, or at iRacing's own black boxes. You have it all on screen actually, most of the stuff at least, and you can program one switch to switch between the boxes, or you can set program to any other keystroke, but just program it to F1 to F10 or F12, F10 I think, and then you can switch through the black boxes, which is quite handy. One more thing I can show you right here is DRS light is now enabled, and it actually shows up here, and I can, when I activate DRS, here it is, this LED lights up. I guess the engine is a bit too loud. Yeah, so these things you can also configure, extra LEDs. Same with push to pass, or what is it called here? The overtake button. This one. It's this LED, and then there are multiple LEDs here, which you can set to whatever you want. Flags, engine warnings, stuff. Fuel warning. I think I have it set it to fuel warning. Here comes up the DRS available light again, and when we enter the DRS zone, this is this here, and you get two lights on the car display. When we enter the DRS zone, which is coming up here. Now I can press it actually, and DRS is activated. As soon as I lift or go on the brake, it's activated again. Yeah, these things, for example. Then you have, I mean, of course, all the buttons I can program them to whatever I want to. This one here is, I think, yeah, brightness of the display. You can change the relation between LEDs and display, and then you can change with this one here. This you can change in the program, in the SLI Max Manager, and then here on the fly with this thing you can set master brightness. Yeah, and of course all the rotary encoders. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 on this wheel. Yeah. You can change things, brake bias for example, and you can also set the display to display the changes when you make them. So I change brake bias and it actually shows me on the wheel, which is quite handy because iRacing does not include this feature. You can't see on screen what you're changing, which is a bit of a bummer if you ask me. I mean, in this car you probably, well, I don't think this display shows it. Yeah, brake balance, yes, it does show it, yeah. But in other cars, of course, it doesn't. Then, what is this here? You can also see here fuel consumption. Yeah. For this I have not set it. I don't think it's available in the settings to be displayed here. Not everything is there. This is ERS mode, ERS deployment mode, fixed mode, I think. Yeah. MGUK, sorry, not ERS. This one is something adaptive. Yeah, okay. This doesn't show up on the display. Maybe you can program it. It has slightly different names on there because it's probably not meant to be, not meant for this particular car. Yeah, this is of course, as you can see, no tutorial, but I just want to show you. There's a bunch of stuff you can change. I don't even have mapped everything here. Yeah. Less shift lights. Yeah, it's actually quite complicated in this car because it can rev much higher than you would actually do normally. You shift very early because I think it's because of fuel flow restrictions and such. You don't really get more power in the higher rev range. And by default, many dash apps and also this one here give you shift points, shift lights way too late. And there's usually a pre-configured preset for every car. You don't have to change anything, and then. But for this car, it just doesn't work because it's way too high. So. In this case, I went and set the shift lights manually for every gear, which takes quite a while. And, but it's cool that you can actually do this, and I made it so it fits almost perfectly to the on-screen LEDs. I mean, there's more LEDs on the real car's wheel, but as you can see, it's okay. Driven this car in ages. Yeah. The amount of functionality of different options, of course, depends on the device you're using. I mean, SLI Max Manager can control this here and many other devices. I think all the Fanatic wheels and also my SRW-S1 wheel. But of course, there we have much less functions because the wheel itself cannot do as much. But working shift lights, working dials, etc. Good, yeah. Yeah, I'll talk about the rest when I show the software. Now I will quickly show you through SLI Max Manager. As you can see on startup, it looks, it tries to detect different devices that are connected. In this case, it's only the sim display device inside my F1 wheel. I think you can also turn off all the detection stuff. So you can see it shows the correct device, and then you can actually switch between different setups for this specific device. Here in the list you can see how many different devices are actually supported. TRS racing wheel, not sure what that is. No, of course, these are my connected devices. Haha. So I could actually also configure this stuff. I mean, this is the T500. Interesting. Did not even notice this. These are not actually CSTs, but my Protosyntac prototypes. They have different. They have not the final electronics that you can get when you buy the pedals now. Anyway, I digress. So SimRace Deluxe, that's my device connected, and there are some presets. In this case, there's also already a preset that I made for the Formula 1 car, the MP4-30, but you can switch between those. And when you go into, I never really played around with the basic set of options. Interesting, error message. I don't know why this. Well, it's gone. I never played around with the basic setting options, but here you can see you can already set a couple of things. I'll usually go into, okay, I don't know where it's probably from OBS, the flickering mouse arrow. I hope you can see it, by the way. I usually go into the advanced setup options, and there's a ton of stuff in there. I mean, first you can actually choose the setup you want to edit. On top there you can see all the different devices that are supported. I don't know if that's all of them, but it's many, as you can see. I think this is a Leo Bordner board. This one, I know it, but I don't know who makes it. SLI Pro also has been around a while, I think. SLI Emu is one of the emulators from SLI Max Manager. It emulates either this, no, I think it emulates this one here, the Sim RF1 from Sim Display. Sim RDLX, that's mine, from Sim Display. Logitech G27, G29, you can configure the LEDs and stuff, I think. Fanatic also. Different options. Sim RGT is also from Sim Display. No, actually I was wrong. SLI Emu emulates my device, I think. SRW-S1 Emu is the emulator for the F1. It's the top of the line display from Sim Display, I think. It has more options, it's bigger and such. And then also V-Dash, that's pretty new, I think. This emulates a couple of different dashes. Very nice stuff. It really makes sense on a I would say a 7-inch tablet. 10 inches probably too big to have on top of your wheelbase and not cover half of the screen. 7-inch would be nice. On a smartphone it's a bit small, I think. And also with these touchscreen emulators, I have the problem. With gloves you can't really operate them, especially when you're driving. But yeah, surely there are people who like to use them. Simar Pro, I don't know that one. SRW-S1, that's my other wheel. SLI F1. Oh, confused. So many things. Anyway, it doesn't matter really. If you want to know if your device is supported, just check out the website or contact them. Anyway, let's go through the options. General. I don't want to go through all the options. It's so many things, but I'll just quickly show you what is there. General is just general options, and then there's always the control section where you can map buttons or dials or whatever to different functions. Is there anything really important? No. I think this is just what is displayed when you have reverse or neutral. And there's always, I'll actually move this, there's always to every function there is a little help. Choose a reverse character, yeah, for blank character. That's quite nifty. I don't think the help function was always there. I can't remember at least, but it's pretty useful. General LED settings. Yeah, 1000 stuff. Display, that's the more important stuff here. Here you can set the actual functions displayed by the left and right display in this case, which you would be able to switch through with the switches. I mean, as you can saw, I can do it with the left switch. For some reason, at the moment, I can't do it with the right switch, but I don't think it's a general problem. I'm sure I would be able to fix it if I would invest the time. Anyway, these are values here. You can see them here, and you can actually edit this stuff when you click on Edit Selection. Get a separate window, and here you have all the different functions. I mean, engine power, go through it. Many things. This is what is set at the moment. Wait a second. Ah, yeah, of course. No? Confused. Wait. Edit selection. Yeah, here you can actually choose 135 options. But what do the plus and minus buttons? I would assume you can move stuff up and down. Or delete it. Yeah. I don't know. Same stuff for the right display. Oh, and so many options. Here is actually display brake bias state set to true. And of course, every time you edit something, you have to actually click apply. And then when you're done with everything, click save and OK. Display brake bias state is set to true. That means when you change the brake bias, the value is shown on the display, like described here. Yes, so, and many more things, and the according controls. It's actually mapped correctly. I don't know why it doesn't work. Maybe my switch is broken. This is interesting. You can actually set different functions, map them here, like button up ABS, button down ABS. I don't know why I would want to do this and not in-game. Ah, okay. Interestingly, it did work though. Yeah, you see something to spend a bit of time with to get to understand even half of the functions. Of course, you don't have to. I mean, it's just something very nice to have for a nerd like me. This is a very important thing here. This defines. This is necessary to make the center rotary switch switch through the different F boxes. So you go. In my case, that's switch 2. Go to edit selection, and then you click on the position of the switch, and then pick a key stroke it should emulate. In this case, you just leave it with F1 to F10 or 12 or whatever, and then you have that's the default mapping in iRacing for the F boxes. You can of course set it to whatever you want, and when you have selected the key F1, you just click on key 1 and then it's set here. And you do this for every switch position. Then you could click on OK, and then on Apply and Save, and then it should work. Shift lights. Yeah, this is the stuff I talked about. You have different shift lights methods. Absolute means it uses the values you define under RPM threshold absolute, which I did here. And confused because no. I also set shift lights per gear to true. This means it actually uses these values here, because I programmed it for every gear. Because in the McLaren, the shift values, ideal shift values, are different for every gear. So you're gonna go in here, edit selection, and then you can change these values. This is a bit clumsy in my opinion. You can't type in the values here. You have to move these sliders, and that's a bit annoying from time to time. You can actually, I think, click somewhere and then go. No, this was not. Click on this, and then you can go up and down with the cursor, but with the arrow buttons, arrow keys on your keyboard. I won't save this. This card changes, yes. Or you can have different other shift light methods like progressive. If the set rev limits are correct, then all of these work fine. There's no problem. But for this car, maybe now they work. There's regular updates to the software, so maybe if I would install the newest updates, it would work by itself. Different stuff, percentage, etc. Blank shift lights with the last gear. I had this activated, I think, in one of my recent Formula Renault videos at Spa, I think. You can actually see that in 7th gear there are no shift lights, which I don't like, and that's why I set it to false afterwards. And the accordion controls, pit limiter function. It's also nice. You can define different. This basically are shift light patterns that signal that the pit limiter is activated. In my case, alternate RPM shift LEDs blinking. 1,000 things, really. Shift points. With this particular car, I couldn't get it to work correctly because I couldn't find where to define the rev limit. This uses a preset rev limit for each car, and basically you can set LEDs or whatever to blink as a shift light, additionally to the shift LEDs. And you can set factors like should it blink early or at lower revs or a bit later, but it's all in a range which I can't use with the rev limit for this car. Again, maybe it's already fixed. I haven't really installed the latest updates and tried them. So I had it once in the IndyCar, for example, that the blue LEDs outside, the blue extra LEDs, lit up as shift lights, which was quite nice. Yeah. Brightness. That's what I talked about. Max brightness. You can set the relation. Global brightness, I think that's that. No, global. I don't know. You can set it for the display and the LEDs separately. Then a couple of other things which are quite useful. LED external is set here, button 15, so I guess that's probably the push to pass button. Yeah, must be. Oh, yeah, these are some controllers messing up the mapping. Anyway, you can set a specific button to. Actually, when I go off, no. You can set a specific button to you can assign it to a LED, so when you press the button, the LED lights up. So you don't really need the game function of DRS, push to pass in this case. You don't need the game to tell the software push to pass is activated. It's just when you push the button, the LED lights up. It's quite useful for some functions. And here you can define all the other LEDs, flags, for example. When you go in here, LED yellow flag, for example, you have a value here, 1026. This actually means is a value that is set when you check these two here. LED 2 and 4 are these two. When I uncheck this, it goes to 2, or when I go to 5, you see different values. So you have these 6 LEDs here on this particular display, and then you have actually you could connect 5 additional LEDs. I have only 2, and these are, I don't even know if 7 or 8. So I think it's 10 and 11. Yes, discard. You can see 1,000 things. Yeah, much too long this section, but that's mainly because the software is really powerful and can do all you want, basically. It's not. It's actually, can't remember the costs, but it's not really cheap. But then again, if you consider how useful, how powerful the software actually is and what it can do, I mean, everybody has to decide for himself. And you think you have to buy a license per device. That even means, for example, the emulator which you install on Android devices, you can't use them on a different phone or tablet. When you have them around on a different, when you want to install it on a different phone, you actually need a new license, or maybe there's a way to contact SLI, EK Sim Racing, yeah, I think that's them, to transfer the license. I don't know. Yeah, all the website and even I would say the software itself is a bit complicated to operate, if you ask me. But once you get the hang of it, it's actually quite logical. But the whole license stuff and the website, if you ask me, is a bit overcomplicated. But that's not my coffee. Anyway, if you're interested, just hop over to EK Sim Racing and check it out. Finally, I will show you a couple of websites for these different dash software. This is EK Sim Racing's website, which I talked about in the previous segment about SLI Max Manager. Yeah, check it out. There are a couple of... Oh, actually, I forgot one. There are a couple of Android apps that work similar to Dash Meter Pro. For me, Dash Meter Pro has the most options, and I like it most. But it might be different for you. And then there's a couple of other applications that have different features which might be quite useful for you. Um, let's start with this one. iSpeed has been around for quite a while. It's more like a telemetry dash mixture thing. I haven't really dived into it that much. I have used it, but mostly for its rather accurate fuel consumption figures. But you can do a lot of stuff and analyze lap times. That's the main thing with it. There is a huge database from other drivers from their laps, and you can compare your own laps and telemetry to their laps and stuff. I've never really used it, but it seems to be very useful. But there's also has also a dash functionality, and you can either display it on. It doesn't run on Android. You can either display it on a separate monitor or on the same monitor somewhere on the Windows, or you can send it through. You can send it through your network and have it displayed in a web browser on your Android device or Windows or Apple or whatever. Works quite well. And there is a couple of other like Joel real timing application by Joel Guez. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. This is really powerful. I played around with it a little bit because I wanted to change my overlay at one moment. I didn't really find the time to dive into it enough. It doesn't put emphasis on the visuals I mean, it's of course a matter of taste, but very subjective. But you can't really change the visuals that much, I think, or maybe you can if you know something about programming, or a little bit. Or I think you can edit a couple of text files and change stuff and like fonts and things. But it's an extremely powerful dash telemetry overlay thing that you can either have on a monitor, separate monitor, or display on a web browser, just like iSpeed timing app. So many things you can do. Really good. Track map you can see here. But I'm really no expert on it. I only saw it on videos by other guys and streams. And they also have their own dashboard, which you can, for example, have it on a phone or a tablet, and it works as a dashboard, just like Dashmeter Pro. Looks like this, and displays numerous things, as you can see. Then there is Z1. That is very tempting, actually. I have not tried it once, but this has basically most or all of the original dashes of all the cars in iRacing and other sims, as I can see here. I don't know if it's a really complete list, but many different dashes. And also telemetry functionality. I think it also runs on Windows, and you can have it displayed on an Android device through the browser. I'm not 100% sure about that. Sure. And they also have their own separate hardware device they sell. LCD screen. There was a site with all the dashes somewhere. Yeah, that's it. You can see many. And I recognize some of them. I mean, this is the BMW, I think. Z4 GT3. Oh, it's one of these here. I don't know. This maybe. This I know. I think that's the Cadillac. This is the HPD, I think. Corvette DP, if I'm not mistaken. Does it say here? No, it doesn't. Yeah. Numerous displays. Which is very nice to have, honestly. It's the radical. There's only one downside for me personally. I played around with different layouts for dashes, and from my experience, having the same layout all the time works much better, because in the heat of the moment in the race, you don't really want to be looking for the info that long. I mean, if you want to know what lap you're in, or in what position, or how much fuel you have left, things like that, you just want to take a quick glance at your dash and have the info, and not have to look for it every time you change the dash layout. If you only drive one car all the time, then of course it's no problem. And then there's another thing. I personally like to have my gear indicator quite big, and on most of these it would be actually a bit too small for me. That's also, to be honest, a bit of a problem with my F1 wheel. It's also very close, and because of that it's not really in focus, if you know what I mean. So in the end, with the F1 wheel, honestly, I very often end up using the on-screen gear display, which is kind of stupid, but that's just how it is. It's just more reliable for me. Just a bit, from a visual standpoint, I don't really have to look there and know what gear I'm in. Anyway, Z1, yeah, looks tempting. IRDDU, I don't know much about it. I know it's been around for quite some time. There's actually a version 2 now, and it also has several different dashboards, but I don't know how it works. Yeah, I think that's far from a complete list, but I just wanted to show you there's a ton of stuff out there, and I just stuck with, for now, I stuck with the things I'm using because I know them and they work quite well for me. It's can be different for everyone. Anyway, I'm sure this video is already much too long. I hope I could answer most questions about dashes and their use in sim racing. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave a comment, please. And don't forget to subscribe. So, thanks a lot for watching, and see you next time.